Me 27M, fiancé 26F call her L, my father 52M call him B, my mother 50F call her R. Like many who've had something like this happen, I never thought something like this would happen to me, but here we are. I've never used Reddit, but I've seen stories from here on TikTok, so I thought I'd give this a shot for any advice you all could give me. From listening to some other stories, you all like backstory. I'll try and be as clear and precise as I can, but it's only been a week, so if I start to lose it during the telling of this, I'm sorry. Elle and I met in her freshman year of college. We were both dorm in the same building where we eventually met. We later found out we lived 2 towns away from each other, so whenever we went home, I let her drive with me. It was only added like 20 minutes, so it was no big deal. After multiple trips and hanging out at school, we started to date. I have a close-knit family, as did she, so we told our families right away. I had met hers plenty of times when dropping her off, but it was nothing more than an introduction and exchanging pleasantries. Both of our families accepted each other with open arms, and our relationship grew. I was a year ahead of her, so when I graduated, I went home where I was offered a good job with great pay. I visited her at school whenever I got the chance, and whenever she came home, we would make time for each other. After she graduated, she moved in with me as both of our jobs were in the city near where we grew up. Like me, she was offered a position at the company she works at now with great pay. After living together for about 3 years, I proposed, and we have been planning our wedding since. Now on to the part you're all reading for. Looking back, there was plenty of things I overlooked that I just wrote off, thinking my father was just trying to welcome my ex into our family. Things like my father calling her all the time, and if I was around, they would just tell me they were talking about the upcoming family party or something along those lines. One time Elle was in the shower and her phone rang. I seen it was my dad, so I answered. When he realized it was me, he sounded both upset and surprised that I picked up. I then asked what's up. He responded that he wanted to talk to Elle about my mother's birthday that was in a week, and after a minute we ended the call. Even typing this out now, I feel like an idiot for not seeing it sooner. On the day I found out, it was like any other day. Elle had Thursdays off, so she made breakfast for both of us. When I set out for work, she gave me a kiss and told me to have a great day. During my drive to work, I realized I had forgotten some paperwork I would need for a meeting I had at 3 p.m. I shrugged it off and told myself I would just go home at lunch to get it. Elle texted me throughout the day talking about all the casual stuff a couple talks about, like what do you want for dinner, I did the laundry, do you want me to hang it up for you, blah blah blah. I didn't think it necessary to text her I was coming home for lunch, so when it came around, I just left work and went home. When I got home, I noticed a car that looked like my father's in our parking lot, but I didn't think anything of it and just parked and went into our building. When I opened the door, I was met with a scene out of a movie where a man comes home early and catches his spouse cheating, such a cliché. There was a trail of clothes, both his and hers, leading to my bedroom, and the sound of faint moans echoed through my apartment. I stood at the door in utter shock. My brain was a mix of rage, sadness, and disgust, but if you were a fly on my wall, you would see what looked like a statue. I just couldn't move. When I finally snapped to, not knowing how much time had passed, I took out my phone to record. I picked up all the clothes that were on the floor and threw them into the hall of the building. After, I filmed the walk to my bedroom. The door was open. I stood in the doorway filming for about a minute, then flipped on the lights. They both jumped at the sudden light and looked at me, and to my utter shock, it was my father in the bed with her. After the initial stun, my father noticed I was recording and started to panic, trying to find anything to cover himself and telling me to stop recording. He found a towel and wrapped it around himself and started to walk toward me. I told him, if you don't want to get hurt, stop coming to me. He either didn't care or didn't hear me and reached for my phone. I hit him square on the jaw. His head bounced off the door and slumped to the ground. Elle shrieked. I aimed the camera at Elle and said, concerned about your buddy, but nothing to say to your fiancé? My father woke up after about a minute nap, and I told them I just needed to come pick something up for work, so I'm heading back now. If either of you pieces of are here when I get back, I'll send this video to everyone you know. I ended the video, looked at my dad, who was still coming to, and said, you're dead to me. You're no longer my father, but you might want to go home and talk to mom, because I'll be talking to her very soon. I sat in my car for a while until one of the bosses at work called to ask where I was. I told her I was on my way back right now. When I got to her office to hand her the paperwork, I must have looked awful because she started asking what was wrong with me. I told her it was nothing and I'd be okay. I could see her scanning me up and down, and she noticed some blood on my collar and stood up, rushed to me and said, you're bleeding. I looked down and said it was my father's. She looked confused, so I pulled out my phone and showed her the video. She watched it in its entirety. She was introduced to Elle a few times, but never my father. She sat there silent for a moment until it finally clicked that my fiancé was cheating on me, but not only was she cheating, it was with my father. She asked if there was anything she could do, suggesting I take some time off, but I told her I can't go back there right now. That I just need a minute and I'd be fine for the meeting, and I have another shirt in my office. The meeting went over fine. I put on a smile for everyone like nothing had happened. My boss came up to me after the meeting and asked how I could do that, but I just said I don't know and went to my office. I then came home, and I was alone for the first time in a very long time. Thank you for reading. I'm sorry I carried on so much, but it was therapeutic getting everything down. I just don't know what to do. I defiantly need to get the hell out of this apartment. I just can't live here anymore, and there's no possible way I'm sleeping in that bed. I know not only do I have to go get checked out for STDs, but I think I broke something in my hand. Update. Wow, hello everyone. I didn't expect to come back to Reddit and have this much support. I didn't really plan to update at all. I just wanted to put what had happened out there and hopefully get some advice. After I wrote down all that happened, I closed my computer and kind of fell into a depression. After I posted, it hit me like a train. To the ones who think it's fake, I wish I was this creative. I'd write books instead of working a 9 to 5. I'll try to reply more on this post I just logged back on, and it was honestly too much to try and reply to every comment. Just know I read through most of them, and I truly appreciate everyone's inputs, both negative and positive. So, the day after I posted, I tried to get into contact with my mother, but none of my calls were connecting. I wanted to see if she would get lunch with me, and I'd tell her everything. After about a dozen tries, I decided to get into my car and go to my mother's house. She needed to know what happened as soon as possible, even if talking about was going to make it hurt all over again. During the drive, I thought about what I would say and how I would say it. That made me start to panic. I had to pull over twice to throw up. It's not every day you have to tell your mom that her husband is screwing your fiancé. I pulled into the driveway and sat in my car for a moment to calm down and gather my thoughts. I was in my car for a few minutes when my mother threw her front door open, so I stepped out of my car. She started cursing at me, saying how dare I come to her home after I hit my father for trying to break up a fight between Elle and I. She called me every name in the book and called me an abuser. She told me I needed to leave since Elle isn't ready to forgive me yet, and that if she's smart she hopefully never will. Yes, apparently my father took Elle to my family's home and told my mom that Elle and I argued, and when my father tried to spot it, I hit him. She continued on for a while until I finally snapped and said, "Really, Mom, because your husband is ******ing my fiancé, that's why I hit him, and if you can't take my word for it, I have a video, I'll send it to you, but because my own mother can talk to me like this, don't expect to see me again. I don't want to hear your apology when you finally figure out that you're just as shit of a mom as my piece of shit father." Her face dropped. She looked like what I must have looked like when I first walked into my apartment and caught them. I pulled out my phone and sent her the video. My mom took hers out and turned it on. She pulled up the video and watched up until the part where I turn on the light. She then put her phone down. She looked up at me, but I turned and went into my car. I backed out of her driveway. I looked at her before I took off and she was in tears. My heart felt for her, but too much was said during that fight for me to pull back in and forgive her. When I got home, I started clearing everything out of my apartment that had to do with Elle or my family. I boxed all of Elle's things up and put them next to the front door. Legally this has been her place of residence, so I can't technically kick her out. Her name isn't on the lease. Also, she's the type of person who shies away from conflict, and if she returns other than to pick her things up, there will be plenty of conflict. Anything that had to do with my parents I boxed up and put into storage. Like I said in my first post, we were a very close family, but I've never had a problem cutting toxic people out of my life. I texted Elle's parents and told them, calling off the engagement, and told them she's been cheating on me. I thanked them for everything they've done for me. Our relationship was still building, but they were kind and supportive of me, so this just added more hurt to the mix. I finished by asking if they would come pick up all of her belongings. I haven't gotten a response from them yet, but I'm hoping they come grab her things, so Elle doesn't have a reason to come back here. Update. Hey everyone, I'm sorry I haven't updated in a while. I wish I could say I'm doing great, but that would be a lie. Everything hits me in waves. I go from just being numb to boiling with rage. I haven't had a happy moment since I found out. Other than a few friends, I don't really have anyone IRL, especially since my family turned out to be *****. Quite a few things happened since I posted last. It's been about a month, so this update will tell all that's been going on. After my last post, I decided to get the ball rolling on everything that needed to be done, like getting tested, finding a therapist, moving, and of course buying a new bed. I started by calling my doctor's office telling them I needed to get tested and to refer me to a therapist. I had my first appointment with a therapist 2 weeks ago, and we decided to continue once a week. I also got tested last week, but it'll be another week or so until I get the results, cross your fingers for me. I got in touch with a real estate agent friend of mine and he sent me a ton of listings, and I decided on a refurbished cabin on the outskirts of my city. I finished moving 2 days ago. When I finished moving, I called Elle's parents. When they picked up, I told them I moved out and Elle has still yet to pick up her things, and that the landlord will start showing the apartment in a few days, so someone better pick her things up before the landlord throws it out. That must have lit a fire under them, because the next day my former landlord texted me thanking me for getting the apartment emptied out. No one knows where I live now other than the friend who set me up with this place, so I know Elle, or my parents won't be dropping by. The only thing that sucks about this place is I traded a 10-minute walk to work to a 45-minute drive. My phone has been blowing up with texts and calls from Elle, both my parents and some of my friends, but I have no interest in talking to anyone other than my therapist. At work I've been a ghost. I go in, get my work done and leave. On the rare occasion I have to talk to someone, I put on my fake smile and pretend everything is okay. My boss from my previous post has been trying to check in on me more, but I don't really tell her anything either. I just tell her I appreciate it, but I'll be okay. Truth is, I don't know if I'll be okay. I get that time heals and all, but I feel like that's only relevant when you're dealing with one issue, not when you lose who you thought were the 3 closest people in your life all at once. A huge part of me died and there's no chance of resuscitating it. The meetings with my therapist are going well. I suppose I've never done therapy before, so I have no reference on what good therapy is. We do get along all right, and she really seems genuine in wanting to help. The first session was us getting to know each other and delving into what brings me to her, nothing in depth but me just telling her what happened in my own words. The second session we went a bit deeper. She asked me about the relationship I had with my parents. I told her up until now it was great. We talked often and always communicated well when something was wrong, and that I grew up in a great home, but that all means nothing now. She asked why I cut my mother out of my life. I told her she said things to me I wouldn't say to someone I despised, then told her there's no way she can come back from that. At the end of our last session, I gave her the link to my page on here so she can read more about how I feel and what's going on in my head. I feel like it's easier to type things out than it is to speak it. So, if you're reading this, hi doc. For now, I'm still miserable. I thought I'd be okay by now, not necessarily happy but okay. I know some of it is my own fault not communicating to my friends, but when I think about responding to them it just seems so exhausting. I know they'll want to get together or come to my new place, but I just don't have the energy to be around them. Until I do, I'll work, go to my appointments and sit on my back deck sipping on some bottom shelf whiskey and try to enjoy this beautiful view. I haven't hunted since high school, so maybe I'll take that up again now that I can hunt from my back porch. Thank you all for reading this far. 8-month update. Hey everyone, sorry I've been MIA for a while now. I'm writing this update to let you all know I'm alive and to give you the lowdown of what's been happening as of recent. First, I want to apologize to those who've worried about me the past few months. After my last post I was nowhere near okay, so I pulled back from everything. I secluded myself in order to heal and cope with what is now my life. I want you to know every comment and message didn't fall on deaf ears. I took all of your positive feedback and advice and worked through my problems. So, to the people who've supported me though this truly thank you. I can't stress it enough. When I was at the lowest I've ever been it was internet strangers that were there for me, so again thank you all. In my last post I was doing things like getting tested for STDs and trying to restart my life. I'm happy to inform you all I am clean and couldn't be more relieved. I am fully moved into my new place. When I told you all about my new place, I told you it was a refurbished cabin. Well, I might have been a little generous. It was refurbished almost 25 to 30 years ago, so it was a bit dated. Well, with all my newfound free time I decided to actually refurbish it, and all that's left to do is paint the guest room I turned into an office. The only thing I didn't do myself was the electric and plumbing, because I have no clue how to do it and have zero interest in being shocked or putting my hand in a shit-covered pipe. Doing all the work has been incredibly stress-releasing and has helped me clear my head. I still see my therapist once a week. To all those who suggested it, you probably saved my life, so thank you. Being able to vent, get my frustrations out and get the advice I need has been better than anything in my life past or present. I'm still working at the same company. I've become more open with some of my co-workers that I'm closer with and my boss from my previous posts due to the advice from my therapist. Also due to her and some of your advice I've reached out to my friends and have slowly been reintegrating into the group again. Now on to the update with what's been going on between my family and ex. I decided I was ready to have a talk with my mother, so a little over a month ago I unblocked her on my phone and reached out. I called and almost instantly she picked up the phone. I could tell through the tone of her voice she was panicking. Eventually, after reassuring it was me, I told her we should meet and talk. She agreed, and a day later we met at diner near her house. She was there before I was, and when she seen me, she started quietly sobbing. When I sat, she apologized over and over again, telling me she could only take their word because she never thought them getting together would ever happen. I told her while I appreciate her apology, the things she said to me were despicable and something no mother should ever say to their child, and it showed me exactly what she thought of me. She cried harder and promised it's not true that when she was told I hit my father for no reason she was so angry, and when I showed up to the house, she just let her anger take over. Not wanting to go back and forth with her, I decided to move on. I said, speaking of that, POS, what have you decided to do with him? She told me they've been separated. She just kicked him out since the day after I sent her the video, and she immediately found a lawyer. Then we moved on to my ex. She said that when I pulled away, she went back into the house and threw them both out. She was too disgusted to look at them. We talked for about an hour in total, and before I left, I told her I was in a dark point of my life, and because of the things she said to me I didn't have my mother when I needed her, and because of that I don't know if I could have her in my life. I then told her I'm willing to work on my relationship with her, but it will be at my pace. She stopped me before I could leave and told me she has to tell me something important. I sat back down, and she said Elle is pregnant. Elle apparently showed up to the house and told my mom. She said she didn't know if it's mine or my father's. Elle asked if I had been in touch so she can let me know. Obviously, she hasn't, so my mom just sent her on her way. Well, that's about it for the update. I have a lot on my mind, not sure what to do or feel. Thank you for reading. Sorry for rambling on and on.